Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So today we are going to start off a new chapter of NCERT Class 12th, which is chapter 8, Human Health and Diseases. So guys, in this chapter we are going to discuss all sort of human, health related problems and various type of diseases, and we'll definitely cover it in different parts. So we'll basically be covering it in almost 6 to 7 videos. So let's start off with human health once first, and let's see what is the definition of health. Now, guys, basically, health is nothing but a state of body and mind is what we can say, right? So, basically, it is nothing but it basically increases if you're fine, if you're healthy, your productivity increases, right? Your longevity increases, and basically the mortality rate, if in a population everyone is healthy, mortality rate of that population decreases, right? So it is nothing but a state of body and mind where there is a balance of both, right? So there are, various factors which affect human health. Now, these factors can be, any physical disease or even a mental illness, right? So health can be, we can say that health can be, affected by genetic disorders, wherein you have different type of disorders which are related to our genes, where we have different type of defects which are inherited from parents to the kids, right? Then we have various type of infections that affect human health, right? So say there are various bacterial and viral diseases in humans, right? All those affect human health. And then our health is also affected because of our lifestyle. So the food and the water we take also affects our health. The the kind of rest that we give to our body also affect our health. The kind of exercise or physical activity that we do also affect our health, right? So there are various factors which affect human health, right? So the first one that we studied was genetic disorders, right? So any kind of genetic disorder affect human health. Then we have infections. Now these infections can be from any different type of organisms, or allergies, or all those things affect our health, right? And then our lifestyle. Now lifestyle includes food, water, the rest that we take, the exercise that we do, right? The kind of habits that we have in our daily lifestyle. So all those factors affect our health, right? Now, when we come to diseases, diseases can be broadly, classified, or it can be grouped into infectious and non-infectious diseases. So we'll study about that as well in detail, right? And then we'll cover all the infectious and non-infectious diseases as per NCERT syllabus, right? So say, when the functioning of one or more than one organ or system of the organ, the entire system of the body is affected, we say that we are not healthy, right? And what we say that we have a disease. So basically, this is nothing but a definition of a disease wherein functioning functioning of one or more organs or system of the body is affected, we say that we are not healthy, or we have a we have a disease. So basically it is nothing but when the functioning of our body is affected in a way or another, right? Now, as I said, diseases can be classified into infectious and non-infectious. Infectious and non-infectious. Now, infectious are the ones which are easily transmitted from one person to another, right? So, if a disease is very easily transmitted from one person to another, it is an infectious disease. A recent example is COVID. COVID is an infectious disease. Why? Because it spreads very easily from one person to another, right? So basically, infectious diseases are very common, and every one of us suffers from these at some time or the other. Normal flu that we have, common cold that we have is infectious, right? And some of the infectious diseases which are fatal, like we have one, COVID, which is fatal, and that is why we are said to wear masks to take proper precautions, right? Other diseases like AIDS is also an infectious disease and it is fatal. AIDS, again fatal, right? And non-infectious diseases, what happens? It is not transmissible, right? So a person cannot infect the other person with the same disease so easily. So basically, say non-infectious disease, cancer. Cancer doesn't spread from one person to another, right? So it is one of the major non-infectious disease, but a very fatal one, right? Now, apart from that, it's not just diseases that affect our health, right? We just discussed that our lifestyle, balanced diet, personal hygiene, regular exercise, all these things, also affect our health. So one of the factors which affect our health are also drugs or alcohol abuse, or smoking. So we'll study about drugs and alcohol abuse as well in this chapter a bit to make you guys aware, right? So let's see what are the common diseases in humans. Let's see some of the common diseases in humans. So we'll cover some in this video and some in the next video. Right? So the first disease that we'll cover, basically, by common diseases, what we mean is, there are various organisms belonging to bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, helminths that cause disease in humans. And these organisms are known as pathogens. These organisms which give diseases in humans to man, they are known as pathogens. Now, pathogens can enter into our body by various means, right? So they can enter through water, through food, through air. There are many airborne pathogens, right? So basically, why they are known as pathogens is because they cause harm to the host by living in them, right? So the pathogens enter by various means. They multiply. So these pathogens, they enter, they multiply, and they interfere. Interfere into what? They interfere with our normal activities, with the normal vital activities, right? And this results in what? Morphological and functional damage to the body. So these pathogens, they enter, they multiply, they interfere with our daily normal activities of the organs or the organ systems, and that results in morphological and functional damage. Now, pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host, right? Because they're living inside us, they'll have to adapt to the environment of our body, right? So, say for example, the pathogen that enters the gut must know a way of surviving in the stomach because it has low pH, right? We have various digestive enzymes and we have low pH because of digestion, right? So that pathogen who lives in the gut will have to know of surviving that particular pH, right? and that is why these pathogens are specifically adapted, or they evolve to adapt in that particular environment, right? So the very first disease that we're going to discuss is typhoid. It is typhoid. It is caused by a pathogenic bacteria which is known as Salmonella typhi, right? So the disease is typhoid, and it is caused by Salmonella typhi, which is a bacteria. It is a bacteria, right? And this causes fever. So basically, it is nothing but typhoid fever, right? So what happens here is that these pathogens enter the small intestine through contaminated food and water, right? And they migrate to all the organs through blood. So what happens is they enter into our intestine through contaminated food and water, and then they get into our bloodstream and they migrate into other organs through blood. Now what happens when they enter in blood? We start getting high fever, 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, right? So we start getting high fever. We have so one of the symptom is high fever. Then we have stomach pain because they enter through that. We have constipation. So all this problem related to stomach and intestine. We have headache. We have loss of appetite, right? So all these are symptoms that we get when we have typhoid, right? Now, what happens is basically they cause intestinal perforations and death as well. So if you do not treat typhoid on time, it can cause death as well. Now how do you treat typhoid and how do you confirm that you have typhoid? You confirm through a test which is known as Vidal test. Vidal test is the test which is conducted on patients with symptom of typhoid, right? So in Vidal test, basically what happened was, it was basically there is a classic case in medicine which is of Mary Mallon, right? And what happened was this patient was named as Typhoid Mary. So what happened was that she was a cook by profession and she was a typhoid carrier, and she continued to spread typhoid for several years through the food that she prepared, right? And after that, this Vidal test was devised to test the patients, whether the patient is having typhoid fever or not. And what you do is you basically conduct this test through blood sample of the patient. So you take blood sample and you conduct Vidal test on that sample, and you either get a positive or a negative, right? So this is all about the typhoid disease. Now the next one is pneumonia. Again, a very common but a very major disease in developing countries. So what exactly pneumonia is, we'll see that as well, right? So the disease is pneumonia. It is caused by again a bacteria. Bacteria is known as Streptococcus pneumoniae. It is also caused by Haemophilus influenzae. Right, so what happens is these bacteria infect the air-filled sacs of the lungs. So the bacteria infect what? They infect alveoli. They infect lungs basically, right? They infect the alveoli, which is nothing but the sacs which are filled with air. Now, as a result of the infection, what happens is that the alveoli gets filled with fluid, and that leads to severe problems in respiration. So you have respiratory problem, respiratory problem, right? Now, symptoms include again fever, you have chills, you have cough, you have headache, right? In severe cases, your fingernails and lips might turn bluish in color because you are not getting oxygen basically. The organ which is responsible for, transferring oxygen to our blood is lungs, and they have alveoli which are filled with air, right? When these lungs are filled with fluid, there's no space for air to get in and for oxygen to be transferred to blood. So there is shortage of, oxygen basically in the body. Now, what happens is that a healthy person acquires this infection by inhaling the droplets or aerosols which are released by an infected person. So, say you have pneumonia, you have streptococcus pneumonia or Haemophilus influenza in your body. So, you are an infected person and you release, these infections in air, and I'm there with you and I get this, droplets that you basically have released, and I'm now infected with that, right? Now, this can be done by sharing glasses, utensils with an infected person as well, right? And I get that infection, and what they do is they enter in my lungs, they infect the alveoli, and what happens is the oxygen shortage happens, and because my lungs are now filled with fluid, and because of this shortage, I start getting respiratory problems, and I'll start getting fever, I'll start getting chills, cold, headache. And in severe cases, even the lips and fingernails might turn from bluish to gray. And then I go to the doctor. I am usually recommended for a chest X-ray, and through X-ray you can see whether you have, your lungs are fine or you have any kind of infection. In some cases, people go for CT scan as well. So different type of scans are done, and then the disease is cured. But yes, it's a curable disease if you go to the doctor on time. So again, guys, in the case of COVID, we have a lot of cases where people get severe pneumonia, and that is the reason of death, right? So what is important here is to visit doctor on time. Now there are various other diseases like that. So the next is common cold. Again, very common these days. These are caused by viruses. Now, guys, there is a lot of difference between diseases caused by bacteria and viruses, because bacterial diseases are cured easily because we have a lot of antibiotics. But there is no proper cure for a viral disease. That is why we say that prevention is a key when you have any viral disease around you. So the next disease is common cold. This is caused by virus, rhinoviruses. Rhinoviruses, right? Now, what happens here is, they infect the nose and respiratory passage, but not the lungs. They just infect nose and respiratory passage, right? So pharynx wala region, but not the lungs. Now, the common cold is characterized by nasal congestion. So the most common symptom is nasal congestion. You have running nose. Okay? You have discharge, nasal discharge. You have running nose. You have sore throat. You have sore throat. You have cough, headache. You have hoarseness in your voice. like you feel tired, and then you get fever as well, right? So this again, a lot of symptoms, common symptoms these days caused by rhinoviruses, and what they do is they infect the nose and respiratory package. So usually this cycle of virus lasts 3 to 7 days. And again, what happens, say I am an infected person. I actually have common cold right now. If you can, just listen to my voice, you'll find that I have common cold. Now, say I have common cold. So what happened is I'll maybe cough or sneeze in a public place, and those I'll release those droplets trapped with viruses. And you being there with me will get contaminated because these droplets are now released in air and it will go inside your body. Apart from these things, if I say cough or sneeze in a room, it will the viruses will go and stick to the things that are kept there. Say I have pens, I have books, I have a mug, I have a cup, there is a computer, so there is the keyboard, mouse that other person can use, the doorknobs, the cupboards, right? So all these things gets affected, and as soon as the other person comes in contact, touches it, and then and you touch your nose and you touch your face, then the virus gets inside you, right? If you say use the same water bottle that I'm drinking with, or the you use the same mug that I drank with, right? If you used my pen and I have already hold my pen and I have sneezed there, or something like that has happened, and virus has been transferred to that particular object. So you get it. Again, you get the infection. You have all these symptoms. So, guys, again, there are no such, say cure of viral diseases. So there's no such antiviral tablet that you eat and you be fine. There's a cycle of common cold which lasts from 3 to 7 days. If you have fever, you take medication for fever. If you have certain allergies, you take some anti-allergic, and then as soon as the virus completes its cycle, the common get cold gets cured by itself, right? So, but again, a very common disease, but yes, that is why people say that take precaution of not coming in contact with a person, or who has symptom of a common cold, or if you have symptom of a common cold, you should be very much precautious that you do not give it to the other person around you, right? So again, common cold is one of the diseases. So in next video we are going to cover a very important disease, guys, which is malaria. So, and we'll cover some more after that. I hope you understood the basic concept of what diseases are, and some basic diseases that we studied. So guys, please do not forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and yes, do let me know in comments if you have any doubt. You can also message me on WhatsApp for your doubt and I'll clear it as soon as possible. But yes, do let me know your feedback so that I can improvise more on the videos. Thanks for watching this video, guys. See you in the next video. Bye bye.